Hello everyone, my name is Lady Calamere. Welcome to my channel. This will be my 113th video and it will be on rubies, the magical properties of rubies, and a little bit about the stone, and of course it's going to be centered on my cats. And we have Loki right here and Joker is right underneath my feet. So I am fresh out of the hospital. I was there from Sunday to Wednesday. So it is now the beginning, almost beginning of Saturday. And yes, I am still sick. I am still taking antibiotics, so bear with me. Anyways, Ruby, what is it? Oh, there's Joker in the way. Here I have a polished shaped piece, and these are all raw. Rubies are one of the 4 precious gemstones. You have emeralds, sapphires, rubies, and diamonds. Diamonds is listed as precious because of the De Beers company and how they unsaturated the market with it, even though it's a very common stone. But now they made it precious, so. But it's one of the precious stones. I'll be right back because it is hot as hell here. Oh God. Sorry about that. I had to turn on the AC and turn on the fan. So ruby is, on the Mohs hardness scale, it is a 9. So the hardest element is a 10, which diamond is a 10. This is a 9. It is a corundum. So it is a corundum. And another stone that's a corundum is a sapphire. So, but the reason why this is ruby is because of the red color, which comes from chromium. Chromium makes it red. Now, what makes the stone expensive is the 4 C's. Okay, this is going to be rated: color, clarity, cut, and carat. Again, color, clarity, cut, and carat of the stone. Rubies are found, they found them quite a few places. Off the top of my head, they are found in USA, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, Kenya, Mexico, Russia, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, and India. Now, the highest quality is Myanmar, especially if you get the ruby that's called pigeon's blood. Loki, stop! Loki, stop! The reason why I got the name pigeon blood, because the ruby is the color of a pigeon's blood when it's freshly killed, when the 2 first drops of the blood comes from the nose. I know it's graphic. Now, all because a stone doesn't come from Myanmar doesn't mean it's not high quality. In fact, you could probably find higher quality sometimes in other countries. But the best ones would be called pigeon's blood, and those are found in Myanmar, which used to be called Burma, which is called, the pigeon's blood is also called the Burmese ruby. That sounds more nicer than say, oh, it's just pigeon's blood. So the gods it is associated with is Surya, the sun god. If you want to know about him, I have a presentation on my channel about him. Krishna. And it also deals with Buddha. It was also in India, Krishna's, the spear of his lance was made from ruby, in which he destroyed the negative forces with, and it broke the, and where the shards of this sphere went was like the crystal ruby that they find in India. In fact, one of the great gifts that you could give a Buddha is a ruby. Now, the element it deals with is fire. However, Robert Simmons says it's earth, but most sources, and I also concur with it, is fire. In no way am I putting Robert Simmons down. In fact, I have 3 of his books. I think the man is very knowledgeable about crystals and stones. He knows a lot, but I have to disagree with the earth element. I really do. The planetary powers it deals with is the sun. And in fact, in India, this is a sacred stone of the sun, of Surya. Surya is the sun as well as the god. So its power is projective. Its folk name was called carbuncle, even though carbuncle is also a name of another stone. I know, kind of confusing, but it was also, its folk name was carbuncle. So also its astrological signs deal with Leo, Sagittarius, and Scorpio. Also said to work good with Aries. A secondary stone for Cancer. It's a traditional birthstone for July. It's a July birthstone. This represents the power of fire and the sun. And it is said good to work with in the morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. during sunrise, where it's very auspicious. If you look at the tradition of the Hinduism, it's very auspicious at that time. It also will represent the summer, the solstices, especially the summer solstice. So it's also the number it's going to work with, and it vibrates to the number 3. It vibrates to the number 3. So, oh, another place where it's found is Brazil. That's the other place I was thinking, Brazil. So that's another place where it is sourced at. Ruby can be found in kyanite, zoisite, and fuchsite. So those stones can be seen with fuchsite. When you see the fuchsite, it actually has, okay, so there's ruby, and then it has a ring of kyanite, blue kyanite around it, and it's really beautiful in the fuchsite. So this is ruby in the matrix. As you can see, these are all raw. When it's cut and polished right, depending, like I said, cut, color, clarity, and color, it can range up to 15,000 to over 20,000 per carat. Yeah, expensive. But you don't need an expensive stone to work with its energies and to use it for healing. You can use a lower quality ruby. You can use a raw rubies like this. So I got like a 1/4 pound of rubies right here. I don't have any store rubies in my possession. They also have their own metaphysical things, but it also works with the same thing that I'm going to be talking about, but different. So ruby is a very beautiful stone. Some people say it doesn't work well with Libras, I use it and I wear it, and it works for me fine. But if it gets like I start getting weird, I just take it off. So, but I like my rubies. So in ancient legends in Myanmar, it was, and I don't do this, okay? Don't do this. They would cut the skin, right, and insert a ruby into the flesh, and it was believed that in battle it could make one invulnerable. So, yeah, I don't recommend doing that. The chakras it works with is the base chakra, the Muladhara, as well as the heart chakra, the Anahatas. So it's going to work with those chakras. The angels that work with this is Yophiel, which is spelled with a J, but pronounced Yophiel. Or you can say Jophiel, and Michael. Jophiel and Michael, or Michael. So it could work differently with some people. It makes people hyper. Others say when you feel hyper, it actually calms you down. So I would say work with the ruby and see how it works with you. It's a good stone for protection against negative energies. It's brings vitality. But I should really tell you a little bit more about the ruby. I'm sick, so please deal with me. And I don't use notes. I don't use a script. So if you want to look at the crystal system of ruby, it's a hexagonal, which is trigonal. And the ruby, it forms in tabular, prismatic, and by pyramidal, or roham. How do I say that? Rhombohedral crystals. And rubies can also be in granular habits or massive habits. So, believe it or not, until the 1800s, ruby, garnets and red spinel was also considered a ruby. But we know that they're different, and they have a different Mohs hardness scale, and they're totally different. So in some rubies, it will have inclusions of titanium oxide, which will help make which will cause a light diffusion, which you'll get the star ruby, which they're expensive, especially when they're polished, where they showed a 6-rayed star. Now, rubies were valued even in the Middle Ages, and even before that. It was so long revered that the Chinese Emperor Kublai Khan was said to trade in one of his cities in exchange for a large ruby. That's how it was coveted, and it still is coveted today. Ruby can be a protection stone, and it can also alert when danger. It is said to grow darker when one is in danger. So if you see that your ruby that you're wearing or you're holding seems to be getting a little bit darker, take it as a warning sign. Now, I recently wet the rubies just to show you the potential. When you wet the stone, it will show you it. These are very beautiful. rubies are quite powerful. So, like I said, they warn the wearer and protect the wearer from negative energy. It protects against psychic and spiritual curses. So, if someone's sending nasty things your way, you can use a ruby to protect yourself. Ruby is a good manifestation stone. It's a gem of manifestation that can help change your life and your personal world around you. It's a stone of good luck and prosperity. In fact, it was said that holding a ruby can attract more money, more prestige, more abundance and prosperity, since it is an expensive stone. Even the raw ones are not exactly cheap, but you can, if you can find good deals, I would say snag them, especially if they're real ones. They make lab created ones, and if it doesn't have any impurities or inclusions, especially if you look under a loupe or a microscope, then you know you got a lab created. But people say they use lab created in healing. I don't have any lab created rubies. There's also called a glass ruby, where they take an imperfect looking ruby and they heat it with glass, and there's, you know, when you think you're getting a good deal on something and you find out that, yeah, they did things like that to it, and then they rip you off. And another thing is, there's a thing called the pink sapphire. Some people try to pass that as rubies, but since it doesn't have enough chromium, it's not a ruby, it's a pink sapphire, and not as worth as much as a ruby. So don't get caught with that either. So rubies encourage willpower, stamina, and a courageous state of mind. It brings about positivity. But if you happen to be a very angry or very irritable person, ruby may intensify that. So if you feel that your anger and your malice or your hatred building, and you don't want that, then I suggest putting down the ruby and picking up for a later date, or maybe rubies may not be for you to work with, at least at that point in time. Rubies were also said to be colored red by the blood of the earth. Do not confuse rubellite with ruby. Rubellite is red tourmaline, so they are not the same thing. The energy of ruby itself is very vivid, and it does bring lucidity to the dreams, to your dream state. So it can actually help you in your dreams and also bring lucid dreaming. That means control of your dreaming, and also help to control the mental state of your conscious mind as with this physical realm. Ruby encourages you to follow your joy, your happiness, your bliss. It brings such intense energy and power. Now, rubies can be used to help you gain sobriety. Now, with anything with healing, please seek medical help if you need it. Go to an emergency room, seek the help of a counselor. Go to your doctor, seek the help of a specialist if you need it. However, ruby is said to, by healers, to help with cholesterol. Of course, take with your medicine. To reduce blood clots and detoxify blood. Is also good for those with women who are having problems with menstruation. So any ill effects of that. It's also, this beautiful gem is said to stimulate the pituitary gland, as well as the blood circulation. Rubies can help be used for regulating your weight, whether you need to gain weight or lose it. Especially when this weight problem is caused by emotional problems. So it does help with healing with that. It really fortifies your inner strength and gives you that vigor for life. It's a stone of love and romance. Ruby is called the king of gems. And it also is called the rock star of gems. It gets its Latin name from Rubens, meaning bread. So look at this. That beautiful piece. So ruby is beneficial for the heart, your kidneys, your adrenal glands. It's also beneficial for your reproductive organs and your spleen. It's also good for the lymph nodes and helps treat fevers. It's good for helping to detoxify your body and dealing with infectious diseases. So, doing money magic and prosperity magic and abundance magic with ruby is a good idea. Now, it can help protect against nightmares and distressing dreams. It will, if you're having problems with dreams, or maybe spirits are attacking you, or you're being attacked by an entity, one of the things you can wear a ruby to help protect yourself. Of course, you want to empower and program your ruby, that would help it even more. I wouldn't leave my ruby out in the sunlight too long, because the light can leach its color out. Rubies are pretty durable stones, so they're good for rings and bracelets and necklaces, but I still wouldn't wear a ruby ring and do dishes with it. It suck if you fuck up your ruby and you paid all that money. It works, the metal it works good with is gold, copper, and silver. Especially gold, because of the solar aspect in Surya. Ruby has a way of putting spice in life to really jazz things up. It is an active stone. It's a stone of power, even a stone of nobility and royalty and wealth. It represents privilege and ease in life. So rubies are very energizing. They activate your emotional, your mental, your physical bodies. It enhances fortitude and passion. So it allows you to pursue your dreams and aspirations. It helps you deal with melancholy and hopelessness and defeat. So it can really add optimism and positivity into your life. And again, therapy isn't such a bad thing if you need it. So there is a thing called ruby, crystal ruby, and that's been available from Merlin's cave mine in India. And from Madagascar, shoot, that's another place where it's found, Madagascar. It's just found in a lot of places. But that's a little bit different. Again, that's also said to be the head of the spear of Lord Krishna's, his lance, his spear that he used. Rubies can help you problem solve and find good solutions to help you move forward in life. So it can really, really increase your life force and stimulate the flow of chi in your body. Ruby is good for lethargy. So if you feel lethargic, this can help you. If you feel this is a stone for the artist, for the writer, for those who have writer's block, and those who need more inspiration to do another masterpiece. This stone is for you. It's a stone of passion and creativity. And I know I repeat myself a little bit, but this is how I teach, this is how I learn. So please bear with me. Ruby does work good with sapphires. They also work good with garnets and red spinel. It also works good with rose quartz, depending on what you're doing and for what you're using it for. Ruby can ameliorate your intake of caffeine. So it can act, so if you've taken a little bit too much caffeine, it can act as a counterbalance to these types of stimulants. Now, ruby, if you want to use it for, it can help you with fertility and to become pregnant. It can help with the formation of your child in the embryonic state. Let me get my ruby. I think I have my ruby and kyanite out. Let me show you that. I showed you that my last time in my kyanite. Also, I have ruby and zosite, but I don't know where I have that right now. I don't think I know where I put my ruby kyanite right now. It's floating around here somewhere. Nope. I don't see it. Ruby can also be a stone of lust and sexuality and sexual feelings. Good for male virility. Now, ruby also helps with dealing with anxiety. A lot of stones seem to be doing this. So it really keeps you going. So when you feel like you're fearing something, you're dealing with phobias, you're having a panic episode, of course, medicine, if you need it, but also rubies. Rubies can also be used to stimulate the Kundalini. Now, an interesting is that ruby could be used for our soldiers, for those in military service, that it can be used for protection and to be used in time when you are dealing with war. Ruby can help you to guard against wounds in battle. Now, ruby was also used to protect against plague, the bubonic plague. So we're dealing with the COVID right now. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm wearing a ruby, let me not take any protections, let me do, no, I'm not telling you that, I always say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. But you can use this magically to help protect you from different things. Again, just be aware of your situation. I'm not telling you not to get vaccinated. I'm not telling you, don't use modern medicine, just use a ruby. No, that's not my message. I would never say that. So, ruby is good for business spells and to increase your business. Now, another thing is that rubies could be placed under the pillow or even worn to bed to promote restful sleep. Now, what was I thinking? I'm trying to think what it was that they did with ruby. Oh, I can't remember. I'm trying to think oh yeah, they used to engrave in I'm just trying to 13th century. In the 13th centuries, these stones, these gems were established, of course, as wealth increasing stones, even back then. And they were especially said to be effective if a snake or a dragon was engraved on it before using it for that purpose. So even in ancient India, it was said, if you possessed a ruby, you can accumulate other precious gems. Oh, because it was even pricey back then. Now, so you could take the ruby and what are you doing, little boy? Joker. Come on, boy. So ruby is said to guard the home against negativity, negative spirits, and storms. If you touch the four corners of the outside of your home, if it's like in a big building, if you live in an apartment, I would say touch the corners of each room, or touch the corners, if it's not a big building, you could touch the corners of your building. Definitely for protection. Now, another planet that it's also associated is also Mars. But mainly it's also the Sun. But it can also be worked with Mars. That's why I say sometimes it can work with Aries. And the god of Aries is actually Aras. In Greek, Aras. Ares. Sorry, Ares. Ares. Now, it was also said that touching the boundaries of your garden or trees was said to magically protect it from lightning and also protect you from lightning. That doesn't mean go out in a lightning storm and say, oh, I got a ruby on, I won't get struck by lightning. Yeah, okay. It's just said to help protect you. To protect you against enemies, real and imagined. Curses, against curses, real and imagined. It was also a special, rubies were also a special mascot of even martial artists. So if you teach or if you're a student of martial arts, this can be your mascot. So, what are the things I want to talk about Ruby? Because I've been talking about 36 minutes and it feels like I've only been talking about 15 minutes. Guys, what are you after? Why are you attacking my feet? Stop it. Why must you do these things? Here. Go play with that. Gosh. What you doing? What you got? I gotta get something out of his mouth. Hey, give it. Sorry. I had a little bit of, he was trying to swallow this. He found it under the couch. So, sorry about that, guys. Where did you get that? Let me see your mouth. No, Loki. Loki. Oh my God, sorry guys. But I had to avert disaster. That would have been disastrous if he would have eaten that. Thank you for your understanding. I just had to chase him around the place and make sure he was okay. So, ruby can be used for beauty spells. And it's also can be used to assist victims of sexual abuse and rape to help, heal their connections to their own bodies. Again, if you're a victim of rape, please call the police. Also, please get help. There's no shame in getting help for that. The person who should be ashamed of themselves is the rapist or the molester, you know. I know that's easier said than done, but they're the ones who should be ashamed. So it also encourages self-love and helps against self-abuse. Now, it can help you use for protection spells, not just of yourself, but of others, whether it's of the environment, animals, your pets. So you can use that. Use rubies for that. I'm just a little shaken up after my cat could have really gotten hurt. I don't know how that was on the floor, but it was. It pisses me off. It was under the couch here. Right under my freaking nose. Now, rubies can help you make better changes in your life. More positive changes. And rubies can help with your own self-awareness of who you are and what you want to be and what you want to do and what direction you want to go. So it can really help you what you want to do in life. So it can help you during times of crossroads in your life or confusion. Again, like I said, it's considered even called the most magnificent of all gems. It is a stone of virtue. So, what other things would I say you can use this for? It can help you in times with your commitments and to keep your promises. And also, if it was said if there was a dispute, it can be used for mediation between the two parties. And that was even thought in the Middle Ages to resolve disagreements and negative thoughts. Joker. It also promotes a clear mind, increased concentration and motivation. Good one for those with ADD or ADHD. But sometimes it can make you more hyper if you have ADHD. Sometimes it could calm you down, so you just gotta, learn to work, see if it works good with you on certain times. Sometimes it may not. It's a stone of achievement. I think it was a word I was thinking about, rubeus, meaning red, not Rubens, rubeus, sorry. Oh my god, it's been a long week, and the cat just nearly knocked over my tripod. So, I've been talking about this for 44 minutes, and And like I said, if you have to go somewhere at night, or if you feel where you have to work where you feel uncomfortable, you can. I wouldn't wear a precious ruby or cotton club. I would wear something like this, because if you're wearing expensive jewelry in bad neighborhoods, especially if people see it, you're putting a target on your back. You know. So, ruby is very effective in meditation. Ruby is even mentioned in the Quran and in the Bible. Just thought I would. A goddess that also works with this, and I forgot to mention her, is Sekhmet. So let's just go over this again. Krishna, Surya, Buddha, Yophiel, Michael, Sekhmet. Also Befana, that she's an Italian goddess. So ruby has a very maleness, a very like a yang in its nature, or male energy. So you can represent the god, or the horn, or whatever male god, male energy, I would say. And again, it does work with some goddesses, but I'm just saying it has a very male yang energy to it. Now, it's even mentioned in the Talmud. So, just thought that may be of interest for some people. So the day to really wear this, the day that it will resonate with, is definitely Sunday. But on a secondary, it could be Tuesday for Mars. But it is more of a very solar. Oh, Joker. Baby. Your brother nearly got hurt. So anyways, I want to thank you for dealing with my crazy cats. There's so much to learn about rubies. And I think I've talked enough about it. I've given you some of the science of it and the metaphysical properties. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. I hope I did a good job despite my cat, this near emergency I had with Loki. It would have been terrible if he ate that. And if you like my video, please subscribe so that it helps my channel grow. I don't have a Patreon account. I don't ask for money for doing these videos. So the next time you go to a pet store and you see a cat or a dog there, please think buying in a can of food or maybe a little toy for it. That'll be payment enough for me. I do love your comments, and I try to answer them as soon as possible. And I thank you, everyone, for your kind comments. Anyways, please share my video with your friends and family on Facebook or text or messenger. And please take care of yourself. And as always, blessed be.